Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation bringing you guys Game 2 of this Best of 3 series. We're looking at Team Empire versus paiN Gaming, and we're going to be looking at whether or not Empire can pull it back. The first game went in favor of paiN. They just played a very aggressive lineup and utilized that Bounty Hunter's track along with some great initiating stuns by King RD to set up kill after kill to just snowball to victory. So that is definitely what we were looking at in the last game. They just had a lot of pressure right off the bat, and the fact that Godblack only got half a jungle to really work with as a Darkseer didn't help him one little bit. So we're seeing the draft shift up quite a bit here. Empire has the first pick this time around, taking the Lifesteal off the board as well as the Nyx Assassin, and then from there we're seeing the Undying and whatever future band may come out from paiN. But with the Lifestealer and the Undying right off the bat, there's a lot of what are considered top tier heroes that are available open in the pool. We have the so we don't have the Nyx Assassin. We have the Wisp, we have the Keeper Light, we have the Darkseer, and we have the Magnus. All four of those really great options, as well as the Bat Rider. A lot of times that's picked up to just have tons of aggression. Funnick likes to play him, Scandal plays him occasionally. It's one of those heroes that it has a lot of dynamic potential, and if they want to be the initiators rather than the initiatees, then that probably is one of the heroes that they're going to be looking at to try to make something happen here. But along with that Wisp and Keeper Light, both very powerful. Bat Rider does get banned out, but now we see Team Empire immediately snatching up that Wisp, and that is coinciding very nicely with the style that they want to go with. That is going to make it so that they can just be very active and dynamic. All they need to do is make sure that the Wisp hits level 6. Once that happens, relocate on any of the carries that he synergizes with oh so well. He'll be all set to move on forward. There's a lot of different carries that he can work with. The Lifestealer is one of them, but he's been banned out, so we're more looking at the Chaos Knight, Tiny, maybe a Gyrocopter, a Magnus, Faceless Void even, options like that. But what we see Team Empire pick up, which is pretty common for the metagame that's over there in their region, is Chaos Knight, and coinciding with that Wisp there, it can be very powerful. And picking up the Darkseer as well. Didn't want to have to deal with a Magnus and a Darkseer, and along with that, it gives Funnick something to work with here, presumably. That's what I thought last time around, but then they pulled out the Windrunner, and it ended up being Godblack actually running the Darkseer. So we'll see how that works out here, but one important thing to consider is that Empire is on the Radiant with a Wisp. They can go for mid pulls all day long. They can go and tether down the trees, and when they have that opening available, it's relatively easy to stack up and pull that easy camp into the mid lane. So they could go for a very powerful 2-2-1 setup, or I guess technically a 1.5-1 or 1.5-2-1 if they want the Darkseer to run in the jungle instead of the offlane. But either way, they have a dynamic draft, they have a lot of flexibility, and they're going to work with things. Now, for those that are acting about servers, I'll just talk about that for like 15 seconds. Pretty much both these teams are geographically on the opposite sides of the map. They are, Russia's one spot, Brazil is completely all over the map. So USC's is actually the closest we can get to an even and fair match. The problem with that is it's still very far from both places. So we're looking at about 200 ping for every single player, and that is very unfortunate. I mean, it's a completely different game, as some people have mentioned. It's just 200 ping Dota is very different. And so they're going to have to work with the delay a little bit. I think paiN is a little bit more experienced in that sense, but it's just one of those things where if we are trying to make it as fair as possible for this competitive game, then the best option here is the USC server, making it pretty much even if it is disadvantageous for both. Now we do see the Phantom Lancer picked up to go alongside that Keeper Light and the Magnus draft. That's going to be very nice for paiN Gaming. The Phantom Lancer Keeper Light combo is just such a menace to deal with in the laning phase, as well as when we transition in towards the late game. The Phantom Lancer going up against CK. CK is very single target oriented, reality rifting one person to just completely annihilate them with Chaos Strikes and the illusions all over the place. But Phantom Lancer has plenty of illusions of his own, and with that, he will be able to make sure that his damage output is very severe, as long as the enemy doesn't have a way that they can AoE them down. They have the AoE initiation with Darkseer, but unless a Queen of paiN or something like that is picked up, it's going to be difficult to actually deal with all those illusions early on, especially when the Heart of Tarrasque comes out. So that's going to be a very big factor coming on into it. His PL is going to get farm because Keeper Light Phantom Lancer lane is very powerful, and from there, if he gets enough survivability, Team Empire currently in their draft doesn't have a way to deal with that. So they need to get some AoE, the Gyrocopter, the Queen of paiN, those kinds of things could really change the pace for them. So paiN Gaming picking up, again, Keeper Light and Phantom Lancer, what they're going to do is Chakra Magic Infuse to Spirit Lance away, and keep that just rolling, a lot of aggression, a lot of damage. Darkseer will even have a hard time. He won't be killed by it if he's playing appropriately, but he will just have a rough time getting anywhere near the creep wave. We also see the Rubik and the paiN banned out, as well as the Bounty Hunter here. The Bounty Hunter was instrumental in giving the paiN Gaming that early game advantage when they started the tracks rolling on out. The mid game just completely, they flourished. They had tons of gold to work with all across the map, and they had a huge gold advantage, as you could easily see through that graph. So they're taking the Bounty Hunter off the board. Same with the Rubik, and in turn, paiN Gaming going with what they banned out previously. They're banning out Silence heroes. Team Empire doesn't want to draft up all these supportive heroes right off the bat, so Silent loves to play that paiN, the Enchantress as well. They're going to take those off the board. And the last ban that they did was Shadow Demon, and that might be a recursion of the previous circumstances as well. So we'll see. But we're going to be looking at a lot of aggression from Team Empire once they hit 6. The question is where Wisp and CK will lane. We could see them just safe lane farming and trying to make sure CK has that armlet really, really early on to make sure he can dish out a ton of damage in the ganks and make every gank effective. But a Team Empire banning out the Chen means that they're not going to actually be able to take off the Disruptor. And if paiN Gaming picks up the Disruptor and glimpses back a Wisp or a CK when they go in for the gank, it will completely change how those gank interactions work. So I'm curious to see if paiN is looking into something like that, or if they're just happy to get some lane and controllability with somebody with just more like stun, single target, or AoE. Either way, though, they ban out the Templar Assassin instead. They know that the mid is not necessarily locked down, that it's not set in stone that the Wisp CK will go on the mid, and TA is one of those very, very menacing mids to go up against the Magnus. 1 versus 1, Magnus doesn't have any way to break through that refraction other than just right-clicking away, and so they're not going to have to deal with that, taking it out. But if Team Empire transitions in for a Chaos Knight Wisp, that could be still very, very potent. Either way, I think the Team Empire has to get some big damage on the Phantom Lancer pretty early on. Maybe not in the first 10 minutes. It's very hard to contest to keep her light in the lane, as I've mentioned before. But after that point in time, when they want to start relocating, when they want to just start roaming around, they need a little bit more aggression. And they pick up the Puck, which allows them to do just that. If they put down a Dust of Appearance and a Dream Coil on that Phantom Lancer, he's going nowhere. Same with the Sentry Ward, actually. So it doesn't really matter what kind of detection they use. They get some detection, and they go to just completely annihilate the opposition. Okay, just double checking something. But yeah, the Puck is going to be really, really interesting. I'm thinking Scandal will be running that there. He plays heroes like Puck and Queen of paiN all the time, and he can play very aggressively with them. And a lot of people are underestimating the Puck, but he has so much potential early on. And if you can get a good Waiting Rift on Magnus and actually burst him down before he can get off the reverse polarity, he's not a Tide Hunter. He doesn't have the Kraken shell. You can burst him down with a quick Chaos Bolt, Tether maybe, and a Waiting Rift. And if there is a single team fight, paiN Gaming doesn't have that reverse polarity, they're going to have a harder time with things. Now, they do pick up the Disruptor, which I think is the best option they had, either glimpsing back a jaunting away Puck or a relocate gank gone awry, as they just send back either the taxi service or the carry himself, leaving the other to die. So that's their two options there. But it's going to be interesting one way or another what we're going to be looking at. Moving on forward, yeah. The one thing I was talking about, the Puck, if one thing that happens very, very commonly, even in professional games, is if there's a tether active between, let's say, the CK and the Wisp, if the Magnus blinks in for a good polarity, he is very, very likely to just be in a position where the tether can happen almost instantaneously, sometimes blinking right on top of it. And if that tether stun does occur, that stun is long enough to follow it up with a Chaos Bolt, with a Waiting Rift, and try to finish him off. Now, I love this final draft from Team Empire. The Shadow Demon really, really secures all their lanes and all their mobility. They can be very active, and along with this, they have a counter illusion team. They can drop down the Wall of Replica, the disruption from both those heroes, the Darkseer and the Shadow Demon, and take away the Phantom Lancer's presence in the sense that all those illusions will come out. It'll be an army of Catmen battling an army of Catmen as the Phantom Lancer illusions and keep on juxtaposing and Phantom edging on through and just keep on duking it out. So there's a lot of potential for those procs to come from the illusions of the Radiant as much as they are for the Dire. And from there, that can be exactly what they need to do to shut down the Phantom Lancer, and we'll have to see how that works out for them. So the intention for Team Empire is to start aggression rolling, maybe get a good rune gank with Puck early on, and then start continuing that with the relocates with the CK, and then in the late game be able to match up the Phantom Lancer just by using the illusion mechanics of the SD and the Darkseer. But paiN Gaming's final pickup here is going to be the Brewmaster, which will, with King RD piloting him, going to be very, very much more active in the lanes and try to actually get some big damage across. If we do see him going for the mid here, has 3 branches and a single tango, ready to go for that bottle early on, and Klotz, the stand-in of the carry, is going to be carrying it up once more. Fuga it looks like that's an offlane build. So we're going to see all three of these heroes top, the Phantom Lancer, the Disruptor, and the Keeper Light, all going on the top lane, and Fuga is going to be going on the offlane once more, trying to survive as best he can. In the interim, we do have Scandal going for a more conservative build as far as his early starting items, so he will get his battle slightly delayed, but he will have plenty of... No, he might be going offlane. I was talking about this before, the potential to go for 2-2-1 or even a 1.5. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they want to solo the Shadow Demon. That's the weirdest thing there. But Silent is, this time around, picking up the Darkseer. So they're kind of like hot potatoing back the Darkseer back and forth. They know he's a great hero with great utility. They're just kind of trying to figure out which role they want to actually run him in for the moment. So what they're doing right now is trying to break down as many trees as possible. The ones here, the ones in that position, meaning that they're going to be able to do a lot of stacks simultaneously and really, really put the pressure out so that Magnus won't have any chance to get a single drop of that experience he so desires early on. Because if he can't get early reverse polarity or ranks in the reverse polarity, he's not going to be less and less effective in the team fights, and that's going to be a really big deal. So we see this interesting pickup, the Funnick actually going for the Wisp here. This is going to let him be mobile and active, but not necessarily in his traditional role. Are they abandoning the top lane? Are we going for a... Yeah, Blow Your Brain and Funnick on the Wisp are going down a bottom lane, trying to zone out Fuga with the help of Globlack down on the bottom. So we're going to see Scandal going on the mid, and Silent is actually just going to be jungling and pulling as much as possible for the mid lane. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Fuga trying to get the aggro on the creeps to pull them back in a good spot, but the disruption disengages them. They walk away, they get the tether stun, and though he has the haste, they will get some good right clicks on in to bring him down relatively quickly. We do see some damage going on between these two, but Scandal's going to be able to do enough and dodge out some last auto attacks with his phase shift and kind of proceed from there. So the top lane, once again, will not be very well contested. This is the situation where Klotz is going to get some guaranteed farm. They know they had to kind of concede this lane to the Phantom Lancer Keeper Light because it's just such a strong laning combo. So instead, they're going to put their focus elsewhere. They're going to make sure Magnus gets no levels at all. Currently on 0 experience, they want to keep it that way. Godblack, very, very active on the zoning, and we do see Silent here ready to just clear up the creep waves. Kind of surprised he's not pulling to shut down the Brewmaster as well, but his intention is just to get as much experience as possible, and if he feels he's going to be more efficient in this way, then that's what he's going to do. So beyond that, we do see Funnick doing some double pull action, timing it nicely so that the Ogre will drop down and the aggro will shift over to these Alpha Wolves. From there, there's really no hope for Fuga. This Observer Ward is kind of the nail in the coffin where it's pretty much if he goes anywhere near, they know it, they're going to disrupt him and screw him over. And on top of that, he's skilled up Shockwave first. No skewer available means no escape mechanism. And I gotta say, he is completely screwed. Fuga is not going to get any experience. The Creequilibrium will be maintained in this position. Blow Your Brain is a very, very skilled and talented carry. And I think that a level 1 Magnus, and when we're looking at like a 6-minute mark, him not being able to get any experience is going to completely screw over paiN's lineup. They're going to have a lot of power in the Phantom Lancer, but without any disables to give him ramp-up time to build up the illusions, it's going to really, really hit them where it hurts. Now we do see the Rune Spawn Invisibility up and available for Scandal. Going to pick that up right off the bat, and got to say good rune control and warding of the dire supports here, making sure that actually there's only one Radiant. Okay, we do see actually that there is the 1-second stun falling at Tether, trying to bring him down early. Again, he doesn't have the skewer, so right clicks will do it. And that is going to be the first blood for Godblack. They wanted to reality ref the first blood on the Blow Your Brain, but giving it the Shadow Demon means that they do get the Flying Courier up immediately. So that's going to be pretty nice for them, and from there picking up the Boots of Speed to zone even further. He TPs back down immediately, but all he's gotten out of it is 62 experience. So painful for him. Now we do see Scandal using his mana very effectively to harass back King RD, but looking at the last hits, it's still going to go in favor of the Lancer, 19 CS compared to Chaos Knight's 14, and that's just because he has no care in the world. Klotz just going to focus 100%, pretty much playing a PvE game, just going up against the creeps and right-clicking away to get those last hits, get that early money to go for that Diffusal Blade early on. Not really too much to say from there. It looks like CK might go for an early Midas. Otherwise, looking for an Armlet or Treads Rush. Either way, he's going to be able to output a lot, and he just needs the early farm to make sure that he's going to catapult in that direction. Brewmaster has those boots up and available. Scandal immediately canceling out his invis just to keep the exchange rolling, but can actually phase shift out of that clap so he can still right-click away. And that's going to force King RD back just a little bit more and more each and every time that happens. Funnick doing more double pulls. Actually has to deny the creeps a little bit more actively if he wants to make sure Magnus is not going to get any farm at all, but he's focusing a little bit on his farm alone as well, because again, that relocate is so important. So we're looking at experience per minute, and right now Brewmaster is on top, but Puck not far behind at all. Scandal's pretty much on par with him. And from there, we do see that the CK, Wisp, and Darkseer are all doing pretty well. The Disruptor and Phantom Lancer getting some farm here and there, and PL actually jumping up a little bit. But he's just getting that free experience up on top, and I'm not sure if they want to transition this into a push. They don't have a Basilius, but they do have a Keeper Light, and that factors in dramatically. Top rune, 4 minutes. Brewmaster lucks out, sits on top of it, and King RD is going to be able to pick up a very nice sustainability rune for the moment because of it. Now we do see, yeah, it looks like they want to go for the push. Look at this pull. They pulled the creep wave down. They get a double stack of creeps, and now they're going to illuminate it on down and try to push down on this tower very aggressively. The Basilius is not up, so the creeps will not be as durable as they want them to be, but it should still be enough to bring down the tower to at least a quarter HP, and with this next wave, they might just be able to finish it off outright if there is no retaliation, which doesn't seem to be the case. So, yeah, that is going to be one free tower, and we're going to see the gold go right back down in favor of paiN, kind of canceling out that first blood that we started off with. So that changes things up quite a bit, and it looks like they don't want to stop just yet. There is a level 5 Phantom Lancer. He's gotten his early experience, and now he just wants some money, and canceling it out back to 0. Canceling out that first blood entirely, but King RD taking some harassment from Scandal in the mid lane. Forcing him back. If they win the mid lane, they're okay, but the fact that these towers are falling by the wayside and Empire has no answer for it is going to hurt them in the long run. So that is just, yeah, more and more in favor of Empire as they just start racking up the gold. 460 GPM on Phantom Lancer. He did get the last hit on that last time around, and it looks like that is a Tranquil Boots up on him. Yep. Helping him out to sustain. We see the TP coming in. That is going to be, I believe, the Shadow Demon here. Raring to go. They glimpse back. Scandal. He's not going to be able to participate in this. Pops off the Dream Coil, but can't follow it up. So really nice glimpse. And from there, they're just still gradually pushing on through.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So the Brewmaster has that Primal Split up and at him, but we saw the Dream Coil didn't really take too much effect. So both mids have their ultis, but haven't really had much action with them. Funix just trying to farm off that jungle as best he can. So from here, it looks like Klotz is just going to decide to go for the jungle. He is well on his way to his Diffusal Blade, if that's what he's rushing up. But now that the tier 1 has fallen, Silent actually finding some dedicated farm and experience. The rune spawn is going to be actually on top, I believe, and it is going to be the invisibility, so that's going to be nice for them. So Brewmaster makes the long walk up that direction, but doesn't have his rank 4 clap just yet to work with. So it'll be a little while before they have to worry about that. Actually, Silent in bad position here. Kinetic Field, the Surge will not help him here, and he's going to get dropped down, putting a point on the board for paiN, and their gold advantage is going to continue going on through. That's just going to keep racking it up, and if they can project themselves into the mid game very quickly by all this extra gold that they're obtaining, that is going to set them up very nicely to take fights. And it looks like a Drum of Endurance will be the item of choice for Klotz to stay mobile, stay active, and have a little bit of extra mana to work with for spamming out those lances. Makes them a little bit less dependent on the Keeper Light to be there at all points and times. And from here, he can just kind of do a little bit of split push action of his own once he starts skilling up the Juxtapose. We do see Puck making his way most likely for that Blink Dagger. Getting that so early on will help him initiate very effectively, and that's definitely what he's going to be intending. But we'll have to see. In the meantime, Blow Your Brain is actually catching up on last hits, going up to now 42 CS compared to PL's 43, and that's kind of what happens when you start pushing down towers, is the creeps will just be AoE'd down by the 2 supports, and it's going to actually mean that Blow Your Brain can keep up and move in towards that Drum of Endurance pretty quickly himself. A lot of movement up on top. They do get the Invis rune. 8-minute rune going to spawn in about 30 seconds, and that's going to be when some more aggression is going to be contested here. King RD. Really not too much happening between Scandal and King RD. They're both very survivable. The Phase Shift, the Jaunt, the continuous invisibility runes that Scandal manages to pick up, all these allowing them to stay active. And from there, King RD, of course, just being a big brawling Brewmaster with 1,000 HP. It's just hard to bring that down, and it's not going to really see that happening anytime soon. So we do see the haste rune spawn up for Scandal. He's going to pick that up and take it to the bank. Try to make something happen with it potentially, but he needs the supports to roam a little bit more aggressively. Silent moving into level 6, but the supports in general, Goblak sitting on level 3 himself, not where he needs to be. He needs to be moving in towards that level 6 to actually get some kills off. But as I say that, we're actually seeing that the Wisp, Funix, has finished up his farming to the relocate. Has those rank 3 spirits. Checking out the Ancients real quick, and From there, Blow Your Brain and Funnick can be playing very aggressively as soon as they find an opportunity, such as on King RD in mid. The Waning Rift is currently at rank 2. That's going to be a duration of 1.5 seconds, so they won't be able to actually kill him before the Primal Split comes on through, but they can at least pop it off and make sure that that cooldown is unavailable for some time. It's just got to be their mentality. Do they want to go for the harassment and make sure that cooldowns are wasted? Do they know that Brewmaster has not enough mana available for that Primal Split? That's a lot of questions that are soon to be answered, but we do see Billy roaming on down towards the bottom to try to make things happen in other lanes. They have the top lane controlled, and now we're just looking at the other ones, the top, the mid, the bottom, trying to put pressure out that way, but now they're going to the relocate. CK, raring to go, pops off that Rally Rift inside the tether, and CK's 250 damage cast bolt will finish the job, but kinetic static on both of them. They have to live for 6 more seconds, and it looks like they will manage. Thundering Strike's expiring, bottling up if they need to, and they will just head back onto bottom lane. Knowing that Scandal was nearby, they did not want to force the issue there, because they could just just as easily break the tether, and CK and Puck together could turn things around. So, 1 kill now on the board for CK, wanting something to happen there, but oh my gosh, Godblack in a terrible, terrible spot. Should be enough for Claws to bring him down right here, but Scandal comes on in, does not have mana for the Dream Coil, and it's just too little too late. Shadow Demon drop into the ground, and Billy's just going to go out for the counter push on the bottom lane. Brewmaster picking up a Blink Dagger, really, really big there. He is going to be able to initiate so aggressively here, jump in, try to get multi-man claps, and then follow that up with the Primal Split. That's his general intention there, and it should be something that he can really accomplish, no problem at all. We do see Fuga, not so fortunate though. He wants that Blink Dagger at around the same time, maybe around 14 minutes or something like that, and instead, he's looking at being completely thrown out of his lane. If you thought Godblack's experience per minute was bad, check out this Magnus's. Fuga's sitting at 77 and hating every minute of it. It's just really bad for him. Now we do see all 4 of them grouping up for the smoke gank here, wanting to bring down the Blow Your Brain, and as soon as they pop on out, if they can get a good disable off, if they get a good slow to start things going on through, they could easily ruin him, and they start off with that clap. The Primal Split as well. The Phantasm does pop off, but it's not going to matter here. It is going to be an attempt to relocate out for Funnick. No, he's just going to try to get him away with the tether, getting glimpsed back instead during the tornado. A little weird there, but Grant is going to be in pursuit of Funnick. They do still have that kinetic field, but it's not going to catch him in. He's going to tether to a creep and walk away from there. The Lance will slow Funnick down, but I don't know if it's enough to finish the job. They close in with the Illuminate. He's low HP, and they do actually get the last right click from the Phantom Lancer. Really, really good coordination, and it just wasn't something that Empire was prepared for in that circumstance. No defensive TPs down on the bot lane, and from there, paiN Gaming kind of taking control across the entire map, playing aggressively and letting Magnus just farm away towards that ultimate. Scandal going in with that Iron Shell, big damage to burst on through, getting an easy pick off, disjoining even the Phantom Spirit Lance, so that's going to help them out nicely. Blow Your Brain trying to close the distance, but he's just not as quick as he is. He has treads, he has 380 MS. It's still not enough to close the distance on this Phantom Lancer, who's just 3 movement speed above that, with win outside of Doppelwalk. Godblack just holding the line on the top lane, now has his ultimate available. Demonic Purge can really, really help them change the pace of things, but it looks like there is going to be an attempt for Disruptor to pull him on back. They don't have the Brewmaster, so they're going to have to rely entirely on the Disruptor to set up this kill, but if they can get it, it's going to be pretty big. Starting off the Lance, he's going to be on the run, but Disruptor's Glimpse should be close enough. Relocate coming on through, this is going to be big. They go pop off immediately, that static kinetic, but it's not enough. Grant is going to get just right-clicked on down, now turning their focus. The Shadow Demon has fallen, looking at Clots. It seems like Blow Your Brain is just going to focus down on Fuga. Do they have 2 seconds left? They finish off the Magnus and TP on out. Very, very smooth for them. 2 for 1. It definitely is favorable for them getting those kills on the Chaos Knight right off the bat. So that's going to bring his GPM quite considerably up. And he will have presumably a BKB in no time at all. So moving that direction, we also see a Mechanism finished up for the Darkseer. That's going to help them team fight so very extensively. Now that Silent is level 9, he can start putting points into that Wall of Replica. At level 11, he's going to be a very, very great team fighter now that Mech is finished. And although he doesn't have boots, he's mobile enough to stay active and keep the damage rolling. So that will be pretty awesome for them. But one thing to keep in mind is paiN is still completely in the lead as far as towers go. That tier 1 on top really, really hurt them as far as gold, and so Empire taking the lead despite the loss, but they're going to have to make sure they can stay on top of that, as the Phantom Lancer is definitely the most scalable carry in the game right now. So that Diffusal Blade should be up in a moment, and he's just making sure he has a TP scroll available to keep that aggression rolling. Doppelwalk rank 3, Phantom Edge rank 1 means he can split push down the lane without even being there, farming up the jungle, DPSing down on this tower is going to get pushed up very gradually, and we do see aggression. It's going to be initiation on a Fuga, burning him down quickly, and just look at that right-click damage. Just the raw power of a CK at this level, hitting out at level 10 with this much farm. Shadow Demon going to pick up the tower here, and they're just going to initiate very, very actively onto Disruptor, a little bit too far forward, and same thing with the Magnus. Going in 4 versus 2, getting the pickoffs there, and not even committing the Dream Coil. So good engagement for them. It's definitely what they were looking for. And they still have the relocate available. Popping that off, a little bit of interesting play. I think that was Tranquil Boots being disassembled for the Arcanes, and then he'll just sell a couple components, or turn this into maybe like a Vladimir's. I mean, there's definitely a lot of different options. I've even seen a double Boots Wisp previously, so it's a curious option. Anyways, they are pinging out. They definitely know that the Wisp is hanging out in that position there, but it's mostly as a precaution, because if they ever close the distance on him, the tether would still allow the Wisp to just escape on out, and that's not something that they're willing to really interact with. Clot's going on in, though. They have this Juxtapose to start things off. He is now visible. Popping off the Spirit Lines doesn't connect. Instead, he gets silenced on up. The initiation, Clots is Dream Coiled up. The nice ultimate coming out, and big Reverse Polarity inside that static field. And now we're going to see the Chaos Knight in a really bad spot. The stuns coming out from the Earth Panda, and Blow Your Brain is going to get dropped. However, delaying a little bit of the inevitable. The CK does get defensively disruptioned up, gets some damage on Grant before he inevitably takes a fall. Now, Godblack going to try to get back, but there is going to be that defusal, keeping him on in. One more slow, they get the defusal blade on him, and that is going to be the death of 3 of Empire's individuals. So, paiN really taking it to them. Perfect timing with that static kinetic coming out of Grant on the Disruptor, and that really set the pace for the fight, where Chaos Knight and the Wisp couldn't really accomplish anything there. And now we see Silent getting initiated on. There's really not too much he can do. He does pop out the vacuum. They do initiate. Oh, big stun. Beautiful tether from Funnick. Getting a lot of damage on through, trying to finish off Clots. The Wisp Spirits are not there, though. King RD instead cleans up on Silent before TPing on a way to safety with no real way to stop them. They get the disruption on one of the 2 TPs, though, and they're going to be able to clean up on Fuga, who is completely out of mana right here. Can't even Arcanes. So that is going to be his death, with Scandal jumping in with that Blink Dagger. Really good play from Empire. It does clean up 3, but also Silent does fall, being chased underneath the tier 1 tower, and unfortunately they didn't get the Phantom Lancer. As far as detection goes, let's look at what Empire's got for that, and that is literally just one thing: Dust of Appearance on Funnick. I guess he just picked that up, because if he had it before, he would have for sure had that kill on Clots, but unfortunately just didn't have it available at that point in time, and so although it was a beautiful relocate tether, they just couldn't follow it up.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So, not too much to consider from here. Pretty much just both teams recovering from that last engagement, and Blow Your Brain is going to keep on farming. He does have that BKB with 1 creep kill, and he's going to be able to stay on top of things and make sure that he's not going to get disabled up primarily by the Brewmaster. The Magnus is still going to get that polarity off, but the Brewmaster is the biggest deal there. If that Primal Split goes on through, the Tornado, the Earth Panda Stun, both those are just very painful lockdown that can wreak havoc with your primary DPS, even though a lot of his damage comes from the Phantasms. I believe also Brewmaster's Wind Elemental has a Dispel magic that will damage them out too, so it's a good pick in many different respects, but using it in the disabling aspect for the most part for right now. So we see he also has the option, they have the Mischance. They kind of have a combination of different Mischance mechanics, whether it be the Drunken Brawler, the Drunken Haze, or the Keeper Light's Blinding Light, all of them providing a very low chance for the Chaos Knight to actually make his attacks connect. And from there, if you're just swiping away at the air, you're not going to accomplish too much at all. And now Blow Your Brain is being stocked up by King RD. That Blink Initiation is always available, so I don't think the Invis really makes too much of a difference. But now that they have his Primal Split, and pretty much all 5 heroes up and raring to go, that is definitely going to force Funnick and Blow Your Brain to fall back. Now, this isn't exactly how Empire wants to play this game. They would love to be going for relocate gank after relocate gank, back-to-back on the cooldowns, and it looks like that is going to be Vlad's, by the way. But back-to-back ganks with Funnick and Blow Your Brain, that's exactly what they've been looking for all game long, but the fact of the matter is paiN has been grouping up very nicely. They've been clustering together, and speaking of, they have the attempt to initiate onto Scandal here. He does have that blink and rank 2 phase shift, so has a couple of different maneuvers he can use to just try to avoid that kind of confrontation. But either way, for the most part, paiN has been grouping up together, always at each other's backs, and that means that you can't just go for those easy pick-off ganks. Along with that, the Disruptor has been maxing that Glimpse and can always be prevalent in sending one of those 2 relocatees back. pressure going on to the tier 1 tower up top. It will be met with some pressure on the mid lane, which is actually much lower in health. The fortification available for both of them, but I believe that both, at least the mid tower will be forfeit, seeing as it's only sitting at 185. King RD focusing that down with a double damage, and 2 quick right clicks, even despite the fortification, will delay them here. Actually, Silent TPing back. They're going to relocate on end of this. They want to initiate here. They get the silence and the Dream Coil onto Phantom Lancer. Need to focus on him, but for the moment, just taking off that Disruptor. Beautiful reverse polarity on 2. King RD pops off the ultimate. Primal Split going on through. Your Brain is still BKB'd up, doing a lot of damage to Fuga. Got 1 crit, but he needs another Reality Rift. He needs to at least get the stun out. Fuga will get locked down here. Nice action there, but the Pandaren and Brewmasters, the Brewlings, still brawling on, and they want to get that stun. They get it long range onto Blow Your Brain. Now they can go for the Blink Clap to follow it up. King RT still full mana, full HP, has double damage active, and is going to get some big damage out, but Disruption up for the moment. Silent coming in, but got lanced up. Damage goes to King RD, immediately bursting him down. Clot's still alive, but he is going to have to run from the fight. Did he pop buyback in that? Yes, he did fall, and he did have to buy back. So that is Clots sitting on 600 less gold than he did before, making it so that the net worth is actually higher on the CK than anyone else. Blow Your Brain now coming out on top as far as the carries go, and that's all because of that 1 kill. That one big buyback commit. That they got the beautiful Dream Coil right inside a tower range. The tower did drop inevitably, and both the Radiant killed the tower on the top and the Dire killed the tower on the mid, but having the detection on him, jumping in with the silence and the Dream Coil, putting him in such a rough spot, they were able to finish the job there, and that really made it so that they could not worry about the damage output of paiN and instead go on the offensive. They could just, Empire could close the distance in, and I gotta say it was good coordination. Silent going for the TP on the tower. They already had 2 supports ready and waiting. Puck just waiting for an excuse to get that Dream Coil off. And from there, the relocate of the CK on the Wisp, perfect timing, and though Phonic wasn't able to participate as extensively as he intended to, he was still able to make a lot out of this. And I gotta say, Phonic is a little bit weird with his items. He's shifted these up multiple times over. I think he started with Tranquils, turned the Sage's Mask, or no, he still has a Ring of Regen, but now he had then he had a Basilius, turned that Sage's Mask into an Urn of Shadows, and is now making his way towards presumably a mechanism on that Wisp. So, a lot of interesting stuff there. Blow Your Brain and Phonic looking for a kill, but only gonna find illusions to just burn on down. Looking back at CS, we do see that Phantom Lancer is doing quite a bit, has that Drum of Endurance, has the Diffusal Blade, and has a lot of potential to just catapult into the late game if he can just get a little bit more durability. Glimpse attempt on the Shadow Demon, but he was in a very stable position and not really taking too much from that. They go in aggressive. They're going to go for the real K gank, and BKB up on Blow Your Brain means he cares less about this. The reverse polarity finally comes on through. Blow Your Brain disabled up for the moment, but they can still pursue on to try to bring down King RD. No tether stun. They're looking instead at Clots, but he has already been able to take down the Wisp. Stun comes through 2 seconds. Will it be enough, though? They pop off the Reality Rift, and they get him. So that is enough damage. He wasn't able to invis on out. So that is going to be his demise, and well worth it for that exchange. Even picking up the Magnus kill. Puck getting a Dream Coil at the last second, finishing off the Mag, who thought that he could escape, but instead walks away with nothing. So he drops down, and as Keeper Light tries to illuminate down the waves, I gotta say Empire really pulled the rabbit out of the hat on that fight. They were able to, it looked like they were really in bad spot, but Klotz was focused on down without invis, and they were able to take that really nicely. And that's because Magnus had to jump the gun on that RP. Put it on the Wisp, put it on Blow Your Brain, but he was BKB'd up, so magic damage wouldn't affect. And so all he was just disabled for, I believe, 2.5 seconds? 2.25. So 2.25 seconds, shrugs it off, and goes to town to burn down the Magnus, burns down the Phantom Lancer, and takes on the Disruptor in that as well. Big issue for paiN, they didn't have the Primal Split in that. They weren't ready for that kind of engagement, and instead they got picked off 100%. One thing that really set that fight up for them is the Disruptor wasting that glimpse on the mid lane. It is a substantial cooldown, even at rank 4 it's 30 seconds. So popping off of that CD, on the Shadow Demon to no avail, meant that Godblack could signal his team to just go on in. And whether they're TPs, blinks, or relocates, it didn't make a difference. They couldn't be glimpsed back, and they could easily engage on that nicely. So good maneuver from there, and yeah, Silent using that mechanism, Wallet, Replica, and Vacuum to really make that fight happen. Speaking of mechanisms, Magnus has been well on his way towards his, but it's been a long time coming. He had got terrible farm down on bottom, and he's been working his way through on the jungle, but without any points in Empower. So we are now seeing him just 75 gold away from the mech, and once they get it, they'll be in a much better spot, but PL still needs to get some durability. if it's going to work out. And instead, he goes for the Yasha. He's going for the Banta style, which is great to make sure that your illusions are stable, that you get 2 extra illusions in the fight means more procs for you. But what it also means is that those illusions individually aren't going to be as durable. You can just actually single target them down or AoE them down. Either way, I feel that even the damage from Scandal right here will be sufficient to actually finish off Klotz's illusions. And that means that he is, although he will have high damage output, have a lot of illusions to work with. The second the team fight turns the other direction and the AoE starts making up for the amount of illusions that are coming out, it means that Klotz is going to be in a worse and worse scenario. Now we do see that Ring of Protection, is that fun? Yeah, it's Funix for RP. Still bugs me a little bit, but no big deal. From there, though, they're just... honestly, there's not really too much to comment on. Silent, let's pick up that Force Staff, kind of a pseudo-initiation item, similar to that Blink Dagger. But it's just 600 range, gets him in the position he wants to be, or at least pulls the enemy out. If you can screw up a Magnus, if he reverse polarities on dead air because of a really pro Force Staff, then you just made up for that item's cost 100%. And that's kind of what they can do with that. So they are smoked up for the moment, just kind of roaming on around, de-warding a bit here and there, and just taking advantage of their current map control based on the fact that any engagement is going to be met with Funnick and Blow Your Brain ready to initiate. And we do see a Battle Fury coming out for the CK. Generally, this would be a poor timing and what would be considered a useless item because Chaos Knight already has plenty of different ways to farm, and that's generally through heroes. But in this case, getting Cleave to burn down the Phantom Lancer illusions is going to be what they need to do to actually win these fights. And he knows that. Blow Your Brain wisely picking up this Battle Fury. It's not for farming. It's for team fights and utility in the sense that you can keep those illusions at bay. And that will make sure that you can still be the top dog in the team fights, as his net worth is still really, really on top of things. Though, as I say this, we do actually see a pick-off here. I believe it was a glimpse to start it off. Grent does pull the Wisp back in with that glimpse, and he does pay the price, being a little bit out of position. So that just is pretty much what you have to deal with when the daytime gives you enough vision that Wisp is going to have a hard time surviving, or really anybody is that is even remotely overextended. Looking back at levels, the Dream Coil rank 3 will be coming up pretty soon. Along with that, making their way towards the rank 3 Wall of Replica and inevitably the rank 3 Phantasms. That's going to be a lot of illusions to work with, which will all DPS through the... And I believe that Cleave propagates to illusions. It hasn't been really that big of a deal one way or another, but they don't do that much damage. But that's not true for CK. CKs do actually 100% base damage. So, although the bonus damage of Battle Fury, the plus 65, doesn't propagate to them, I believe the Cleave mechanic does. And people correct me / flame me on that if I'm wrong. Not a big deal. There's a lot of different mechanics in this game, and it's hard to keep track of every single one of them. But beyond that, it looks like there's going to be some push on the mid lane, and they're going to try to put pressure on the tier 2. If they take down the tier 2 and mid and bottom, what they're going to be able to accomplish is this action on to the Roche. They're going to be full control of that, and with their very extensive warding that they've done, this observer here, the one down by the bottom rune, both those are going to make it so that Roche is really, really a stable selection for them, and if CK has a second life up his sleeve, he is going to be able to just wreak havoc, come back through, save his BKB up for life number 2, maybe even the Phantasms for that second life, so that when it comes down to it, he can clean up house after the engagement goes on through. So, as a reminder, this is Game 2 of this Best of 3 series. paiN Gaming did take the first one, as you can see on the top here with this little green dot. That is going to be them favorably going on into this, but right now we definitely see that Empire is leading the pack. 7,500 gold advantage, 12k, or yeah, 12k experience advantage, and that's just really shown in these team fights, which is just all gone the way of the Radiant, and now they have so much map control, even going as far as to use the gem and observers to de-ward the plateau, getting complete control of the enemy's jungle. And if Phantom Lancer can't farm the enemy's jungle, or sorry, his jungle, then he's going to have to go in the enemies. He needs to make up for that farm somehow. He's going for some split push now. That's good for him, but there's still a lot of camps here that he could be taking advantage of, just throwing out one lance and using the illusion to self-propagate. But the initiation goes on through with its relocate, and although there is a really nice skewer, he is demonic purged, and he's just going to get dropped down. So that is going to give time for Phantom Lancer to push down on the bottom, and in the meantime, it looks like it's going to be tier 2 for a tier 2, going for the mid, going for the bottom, and Klotz is actually back here. This is a legitimate Klotz. They pop off the Reality Rift unnecessarily on a doppelganger, But now they're going to look to actually put some damage on into this tower while the illusions have all but expired down on bottom. Looking for some initiation to get the 3-second stun onto Klotz. There is a blinding light and the Brewmaster split. Scandal being pulled back, face shifting away, but he will be stuck in this. No, blinks on out of the static field. Really, really nice for him. BKB on the Blow Your Brain, though. He's out of mana and going to be soon out of life. He gets stunned up, and that is going to be his demise. Oh, big tether. If he can escape, he's so fast, and he's actually going to be able to TP on out. If he survives, the Clack goes through. Blow Your Brain lives. He escapes on out of that. They keep him alive, and the only death right now is that Magnus. Puck kills him, and they're still walking away. And now they can't relocate him in. They cannot relocate the CK in, but this fight is all over the place. King RD popping off what is like the third clap for this team fight. And now the Scythe is up on Puck. They are raring to go, but that was such a dramatic fight, and all that was accomplished was 2 pickoffs on the Magnus. He bought back for that and dies again. Now he is sitting. He got his mech finally, but beyond that, he just committed all this gold. He dies twice. That's 330 gold per death, at least in unreliable, and then wasting 700 for the rest of it. Now popping up the disruption, they have the gem to detect him on out. They're going to be able to burn him down nicely, and with this sheep stick, they're going to finish the job. So hexed him up and finish the job here. They're going to look for this tier 2 and then for Roche. Complete control over the battlefield right now, and that's completely based on the fact that Magnus could not RP that fight, and he died twice. So no buyback, no threat whatsoever, and Blow Your Brain is back on in it. Again, he survived through all that. That is just ridiculous. Perfect tether by Funnick, and I gotta say, he's well on his way to making me give him the MVP for this. I've seen him play so well in the offlane, and I'm just amazed at how impressive he can play here in the supportive role here as well. Blow Your Brain jumping in on and bursting down Fuga again. He just isn't durable enough, can't even get the mechanism off. And if they can't RP these fights, what can they do? The Primal Split unavailable for 55 seconds, and instead Blow Your Brain is just going to be able to go to town on anything that he wants to. The towers, the creeps, finish things off, and the paiN is just biding their time for their core heroes to get back up. Phantom Lancer and the Magnus still in the grave for a few more seconds here, and that gives them enough time to finish off this tier 3 at the least. So nice healing done from Funnick. I believe that was a mechanism. They have urns. They have 2 urns. That's the issue. It's a little weird, but Urn of Shadows from Goblak will heal the Wisp, which will in turn through the tether heal up Blow Your Brain back to full. So he has a lot to work with there, and man, they are just dominating, just on a murderous killing spree throughout these engages, and you can see that advantage in the 21-12. Let's check out this experience graph. It's got to be bad for them. Going up now, looking at almost a 20k experience gain for them, and looking at 12k gold advantage. It's just Empire has full control of this game, full control of the map, awards still everywhere. Look at Radiant Vision. They have full understanding of Klotz wherever he's roaming around, the entire jungle, even the supports transitioning to and fro. They have complete understanding of everything. I would love to see a ward up on the high ground, but I doubt that would have lasted long, so not a big deal. But what they have instead is they can take any Roche engage, they have so much vision, and the Dire have nothing. They are penned in. They have 2 outer tier towers, so they just kind of have this little bit of space to work with here, and it's not really doing enough for them. They are in such dire position, and we do see that Darkseer is well on his way to that Aghanim Scepter, 800 away if he wants to buy out for it. And that is going to set him up to really just dish out so much damage. The Phantom Lancer is all about increasing his base damage. His agility gain is 4.2, and his current items are all about stats. Taking some damage here. They actually relocate on top of him. Do they have any kind of detection? Doesn't matter. The gem is available, so Klotz will take a fall here. Blow Your Brain getting a dominating spree, and if he is farming by himself and they know it's not an illusion, every single time that exact situation will happen. So they're going to be able to burn him down, and Funnick having the Geometry Sight makes that happen. Vladimir's setting up for more base damage and more lifesteal for the Chaos Knight. CK is one of those heroes that really loves lifesteal, but can't really afford to go for it, as he's just really, his emphasis is all about making sure his illusions are as powerful as possible. So the Vladimir's on Funnick really helps him there, and that is just setting up Blow Your Brain to do everything he wants to, controlling this battlefield 100%, and now looking for some spirits, giving vision, which means they can easily reality rift somebody out of the base and try to drop somebody down from there. They have a couple Force Staffs, one on the one on the Shadow Demon, one on the Darkseer, and they still have that big wall available. So it looks like they're just going to move in towards Roche. Whether or not they try to contest it up against a Magnus with a rank 2 RP available is the question, and it seems like they're going to go for it. No. Yeah, there we go. So they are definitely going to take this Roche, and the question is whether paiN can retaliate. Again, they have no vision right here. They have no understanding of anything anywhere nearby. They know they're not pushing out either the mid or the bottom, so they have their suspicions, but whether they can just blindly go on in and try to retaliate when there's these tethers active and so on and so forth is a completely different story. So now we see those continuous urn action just making sure that Blow Your Brain can sustain, and Vladimir's doing plenty of work in that regard as well. So Roche will fall, Blow Your Brain will be taking this Aegis Immortal to the bank, and from there, what can they do to bring this guy down? Rank 3 Overcharge is a damage reduction of 15% as long as it's active. He has 2 full lives, he has the BKB still on 7 seconds. He is ready to rock and roll in these fights. And it looks like PL finally finding an opportunity to farm in the jungle as the wards have expired to give him a little bit of breathing room, but Klotz is still in the back end. He's working his way towards that Manta style, but at this point I'm not sure if it'll be enough. I mentioned the harder Trask as my preference, but in this situation, both of them just seem too far behind. He's gotten picked off over and over, and the 10k Phantom Lancer compared to the 13k Puck and 13.9k Chaos Knight means that they are in really bad spot. And they're just going to go in. They have 6 heroes with this Aegis Immortal, and they want to go in initiating onto Fuga. If he drops down here again, that is it. I mean, he does not have buyback, not enough money. And from here, if they don't have the Reality Rift, they cannot teamfight this. The rank 2 Panda ulti with Aghanims means it's rank 3. Will do a lot here, but against an Aegis, it's still too much. It's still going to be very difficult to deal with, and these melee wrecks will fall. King RD pops off the clap, pops off the split. No, the 2-second stun to Tether, and the Chaos Bolt comes through, and he gets dropped before the Primal Split. They're going to go and vacuum them on in, bringing down also the Disruptor, just 100% to 0 in a matter of seconds, incinerating him. And now Blow Your Brain is like, screw it, we got the melee and ranged and mid, going for the bottom, going for a second set of racks to take this game 100%, and they're going to manage it. They have building up an Assault Cuirass if they find it necessary, but oh my gosh, it's just been so much for them. And now that the only thing is defending these range racks, they don't care, they want the melee. They're taking the melee on the mid and the bottom here, and they still have plenty of time. Looking for a Fuga, he has the skewer, no Blink Dagger, needs to find the perfect opportunity to get on in this without getting tethered up. Instead, Blow Your Brain finds him first, goes for the stun, 3 seconds. They have quite a bit of time to burn him down, vacuuming back in, and he gets the reverse polarity. Big stun on the tier 4s, just completely getting incinerated, and they all take a fall. Really good reverse polarity from Magnus, but they still have lost so much. Scandal falls, Phonic falls, Shadow Demon as well, but both racks on bottom, 1 rack's on mid. And that is going to be a really hard thing to come back from. The Magnus finally gets the reverse polarity he was looking for, barely surviving. Literally, the Chaos Knight is with his Chaos Ball. Oh, he's still active. Holy crap, King RD pops off that Primal Split. Just going to be able to BKB TP on out, and we do see that it's going to be silent on the run, surging on out of there, and will be able to get on out as well. But what was that? I was looking for something. Oh, the Chaos Bolt itself. It's going to be a chance for 2, 3, or 4 second stuns at a rank 4. So there was a 1 in 3 chance that they could have killed him, and they just rolled a 1 second too low, unfortunately, and the Reality Rift came through, glimpsing him back on in to this kinetic field. Silent is in a terrible spot right here, and the very long Wild Goose Chase should be enough to burn him down. They get the kill with the Illuminate. King RD can blink down in 3 seconds, and or just okay, fine, go for the recall, just to prove me wrong, whatever. Either way, it was very effective for paiN to be able to push out there, and they're still technically in this game with a late game hero like Phantom Lancer, now on his Manta style and rank 2 Diffusal. But Klotz has got to really stay on top of things and make sure that he is not picked off in any way, shape, or form. Otherwise, he is going to have a rough time. That's probably the understatement of the century, but it's just so much damage coming on through, and like I said, Scandal has enough AoE damage right now with just the 280 from the Orb and 280 from the Rift to burn down every single PL illusion from 100, and that means that really the illusions aren't that big of a deal for them. Ion shilling them down, vacuum them, whatever, they can burn them down during the team fight, and it's not going to be that big damage output that paiN needs to stay in this. They're still 100% reliant on the biggest reverse polarities of their lives, and that hasn't been happening thus far.
Is under attack. Dire's top tower.
So we see AC up on Blow Your Brain. He has picked that up, and he wants to, use it very effectively here. The -5 armor going to deliver that much more physical damage. Doesn't get the reality just yet on the Klotz. Forces out the Doppelwag now, burning down Disruptor before that can be relevant. Perfect opportunity for Magnus, but he gets sheeped up by Scandal. Nice maneuver there, and now they're just like all squared out, so they don't have a great opportunity. Blow Your Brain popping off that Aegis very early, but no, surged on away for the moment. He's just going to stand and deliver. Knows that Aegis won't be much longer. Only 1 minute and 10 seconds left on it. So they're going to try to just Spirit Lance it down and get an easy pick off on it, but he's lifestealing away for the moment. Again, 1 minute left on that Aegis. Short time to really use it, but he's on such low life that he can feed it away any point in time. so they'll probably drop it down right here. Reality Rifting in, he gets a tether stun, but only on the doppelwalk. Good timing from Klotz, but Fuga jumps on in to not get any opportunity. There is no initiation. The Aegis pops off. They do have him forced in this position for the moment. BKB Reality Rift, oh my gosh, so much, but all the illusions are caught in the RP. There goes the Primal Split. The Dream Coil as well. Klotz is stunned up, though. He's going to get bursted down too hardcore, and it's just going to be too much damage output. Fire Panda down as well. CK just batting away, but he's on low life, trying to bring out Fuga before he drops. Gets disrupted up defensively. Nice play there. Fuga will fall, but the Illuminate comes on through. Clean up the CK. He does buy back. TP is back to mid lane to try to get in the action, but the Wall of Replica preventing them from going on. There is a big stun. The clap does happen, but this vacuum not enough to keep them down. And instead, this Illuminate will do a lot of nothing. But anyway, Silent, Funnick, gonna fall back, take what they came for, the tier 3s, but they need to get the CK back in here. All these creeps spawning up constantly. The creeps have just been building up and building up as the racks have fallen, and now they're actually gonna relocate 2 out. In 12 seconds, they'll be back with a full HP, Silent, and Funnick. And from there, the good game well played is called. They know that CK is in here, raring to go. There's only a Keeper Light. As much counter push as you have, there's no way to stop this, and that is gonna be it. Really, really nice game from the Team Empire. They really cleaned this up very nicely. Blow Your Brain and Funnick ganking buddies forever as they move in to just completely annihilate the opposition. And we'll see the goal graph kind of levels itself out, but 11-3-11 for the CK, 10-1-6 for the Puck, 5-3-14. Everything worked out for them, and I think they changed it. Turning point, it looked a little bit grim for Empire at the beginning, but as soon as Darkseer pulled out that mechanism, while Magnus was really feeling the hurt of his experience deficit, where he wasn't getting the experience on bot lane, it turned it to a point where Silent, with that jungle experience where Magnus had almost none, really started changing team fights. So that the first 2 relocates weren't used for pickoffs. It was used for 5v5 engages where they could just engage us 3 and have CK and Wisp jump in. So that's pretty much how that went down, and it actually worked out extremely well for them. With that Darkseer having the mech that early on, they were able to take big fights, and that is going to be the second game of this best of 3 series going to Empire, and now we're going to move on into game 3. 1-1, both teams, same servers because of what I talked about at the beginning of it. It's just pretty much they're both disadvantageous in the sense that they have very, very high pings, but the geographical differences necessitate that we try to keep it as fair as possible, and so it's going to be US East once more. But nevertheless, really, really nice play from Empire, and we'll be going on into Game 3 in just a minute. So this has been Blaze of the Premier League. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the games, but thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have the next game up in a few minutes.